Yeah. Naked Jess on the line.
I
He has
swear.
a wife.
That's true.
Oh,
Baby.
no, follow me back.
Hi.
Hi, Chase.
What's going
Thanks for
on?
joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I had to drive out to the gym parking lot, like our power's out here.
Oh,
Oh,
And
no.
apparently
no.
I have like full service in the gym parking lot, but everywhere else it sucks. So
Oh,
works out.
did it cut into your training time at all?
No, last night we had a very romantic training session, like candlelit. It was a good time. Yeah. Just,
Nice.
can't really see, what you're grabbing and all that. But yeah, we all had a good time.
Just got to use your senses and feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, very Karate Kid-esque on this one.
I feel like I've had a trainer that's made us turn off the lights and roll. It's kind of weird, but
Fair enough.
It's better for grapplers, I think, than strikers.
Yeah. I tried to just do some touch sparring to warm up, and I was like, nah, the depth perception's too far off. Like we gotta just we cannot do any sparring or anything right now in the dark. That is not gonna happen. Not gonna be safe.
Yeah, my husband used to fight, and he used to wear glasses. He got PRK surgery since then, but because he couldn't see, he was nearsighted. I didn't realize that's why he was so good at clinch, because on the outside he just felt really uncomfortable. But once he can grab someone, you see what's coming at him. I feel like yeah, grappling in the dark wouldn't be a problem for you. You'd have an unfair advantage.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I've done jujitsu with your eyes closed. I think it's a little different than striking, because a lot of striking is more visual and instinctual stuff, where grappling you feel it obviously, so you don't really need your eyes. Where I think that's probably why it took me a little longer to pick up the striking than the jiu-jitsu. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, your striking was definitely on display in your last fight. I said striking.
That's how grapplers say striking.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know.
You had a really impressive knockdown in your last fight. Your striking looked much improved. Your physique looked built. What's been the difference?
I mean, obviously, I'm cutting 10 less pounds these last 3 fights up at 55. So the extra 10 pounds of muscle helps me look not as boyish. Definitely getting more on the lifting. I have a trainer and stuff that I'm working with. More lower body strength and conditioning. I kind of shied away from it for a little bit, because I would hurt my back and stuff, doing probably poor technique on a lot of the leg lifts. And then just getting a trainer and then doing lightweight, doing deadlifts, clean stuff like that, safely. I feel like it's honestly helped me. I don't really have back pain anymore now, just kind of building up those muscles. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly a lot of it was just confidence. That Slava fight was my 9th fight in UFC, so I'm starting to figure this thing out a little bit. And yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where it was I really felt going into that fight, I was even if I win, I'm going to be super beat up after this fight. Even if I win, he's going to, beat my leg up. He's going to, I'm going to have some welts, some bruises, that type of stuff. So it really helped put me in the mindset of fuck it. I've got nothing to lose. And, he had more to worry about than I did, I felt, which makes it easier as well. I'm I think I can out wrestle him. I think I can out, jits him. And, obviously I wasn't entirely confident in it at the time, but I was I think I can crack him, and literally the morning of, we did a little morning shakeout, and just moving around. I had some guys, pretending to be Slava as best as they could. Just a lot of boxing more than anything. And I was feinting the shot on him, and throwing the overhand, and it kept landing. I was damn, this is kind of a good idea. He thinks I'm going to shoot, obviously. That's a smart man's bet. And then, hey, right on the button. That was my broken clock moment, right twice a day. And, one of those times happened to be on TV. So it worked out.
That's awesome. That's one of those moves that I've always been a little jealous of grapplers for. You can always feint the shot and get the biggest reaction. Like feinting the shot, you get a bigger reaction than feinting the jab or feinting the kick. Like people really react to that, and then it leaves the punch open, and you landed that perfectly. But after that, you were in such a wild flow state. Like all the transitions you went to, you chose like more sport jujitsu spots than like MMA spots in your grappling. Like there was a moment you went for the crucifix, you went for like, all these knee cuts, and you were going back and forth and from mount to side control and all that stuff. Did you feel like you were more, I guess, in touch with your style in that fight than the rest of them, or do you feel like you had one where you were even more comfortable?
Honestly, I felt like I was surprised. I thought I would get more resistance as far as the grappling goes. Now, granted, he was rocked, and I was trying to overwhelm him with like a lot of the strikes and a lot of the movement. But I thought he'd like push and get up. Like I was honestly surprised at how not good his grappling felt in the moment. Like I was really expecting it to be, he's that team alpha male. I was expecting like at least being able to frame out, like push up. Like all camp, we were having guys like trying to explode up and like run away. And that was hard to deal with. That sucked. And then in the fight, I was like, this is kind of easy, like easier than I was expecting it to be. And then, yeah, they let it. I mean, Slava was moving just enough to keep Keith from stopping it. I mean, I think some refs definitely would have, but I honestly was more like when the round ended, I was like, damn, I gotta get back in on that as soon as possible. Like I do not want to spend any more time on the feet than I have to. I want to, like I don't know if he's still rocked or not. Probably not. That happened like in the first minute of the fight. A couple minutes later, I hit him as much as I could, but probably more rabbit punches than anything. And then yeah, just back in on it, and thankfully he engaged in the grappling a little, and here we are now.
Yeah, there's a move we coined, the strawweight 69, and you and you were there for a good portion of
like
that fight. Yeah, yeah, the toe hold with the reverse triangle. Could you be the one out of anybody in the UFC? Do you think you could be the first person to get a submission via strawweight 69?
Honestly, I thought that would have been the time, but he really, I don't know, like if they specifically drilled like the toe hold escape, but like he was doing a really good job of like using his free leg and framing like just enough. Like I couldn't get any more torque on that thing, and I wanted that reverse triangle, but he was kind of more, yeah, like you're saying, like we were more 69ing, so it's not quite the angle I was looking for. I hope he had a good time, but it is what it is.
Oh man,
Got the job done.
Yeah, it was a good job.
You ended with a really nice submission finish, but Borshchev ended up protesting. Did you think that it was a good finish, or do you think that he was just trying to play it up?
I mean, honestly, I didn't really like. I was just too locked in the moment. Like I feel a lot of times you don't really necessarily, you're not aware of what's going on, so it's on the referee. The ref's like, hey, that looked like a tap to me. Stop the fight. But honestly, I still consider that fight a TKO. Like, I don't think of it as a sub. I felt like a lot of refs probably would have stopped that as a TKO in the first, but Keith let it go. And yeah, I mean, the thing is, I heard Slava saying like, "Oh, I want a rematch," and it's like, why? Like, was the fight competitive at all? Like it was. If it went to the third round, if it kept going past that point, there was still 2 minutes when I locked in the Dars. I mean, I had no intention of letting go until Keith told me to. Like, I would have just kept adjusting and going from there. I mean, I think part of it, I don't think he'd ever been finished before. And I kind of knew that going into the fight. I was like, this dude's going to be super tough to finish. So we were honestly trying to think more TKO or like chokes like that. Not like armbar, maybe, but like a dude like that, he's going to let it break probably. And you just got to have the right angle, that type of thing. So I don't know. I that's the thing, is it's like, it's not my fault that the ref stopped it when he felt like you weren't tapping. There was like a certain, like an overhead view where it looked like a very clear, like a pop. And I don't know. You know, it's not my problem. I still got my 2 checks, still a win on the record. I still think of it as a TKO. It's not really a sub in my opinion.
Yeah, there were a lot of moments in that first round, especially where it could have been stopped and it was able to keep going. Is that why they call you Mr. Hands?
Yeah, that was a little bit of an in joke.
Can you explain to Jess what Mr. Hands is? Do you know what Mr. Hands is, Jess?
Dying to know, please.
All right. Well, it's a little Enumclaw history. Enumclaw is my hometown, and I'm actually in Enumclaw right now. Well, here there was like a Boeing executive who I guess he got in like a motorcycle accident, so he didn't really have a lot of feeling. And his thing that he was into was being on the receiving end of a male horse. And his name, the
Look at
guy,
her face.
the guy, not the horse. The guy went by the name Mr. Hands. The video's out there, and essentially probably would have been all well and good, but I mean, whatever. But he essentially got like his colon punctured or something, and then I guess the story goes like the people were scared to take him to the hospital, so he like just died of like sepsis in like a barn over like a week by via horse
Horse penetration.
yeah trying to think of the polite way of saying it, but yeah, he's probably one of the more famous guys from Enumclaw. I'm trying to take that title eventually, but I'm still.
I mean, you have some competition, to be honest. You got to step it up.
Hey, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, hey, it's
Just has like 3 horses, so I felt like that story would resonate with me.
It hit me. Yeah. Wow.
yeah, it was Enumclaw legend to this day.
So
Yeah.
that's Washington, Enumclaw?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very wild. We're actually, I mean, people think of Washington, they're like Seattle, but like Enumclaw here, like there's more cows than there are people. I guarantee it. We're pretty far from the city, so yeah, we got all sorts of activities going on.
Yeah, I saw you hiking with your. Is that your wife or?
Yeah, my wife
Okay.
and our baby.
Yeah, that to totally change the subject.
Fair enough.
It looks like there's a lot of wilderness, a lot of things. Is your gym out there too, or is it close to the city?
Yeah, no, my gym's here in Enumclaw. I actually got super lucky. Like my coach just ended up, he was from California. Like he started at Half Gracie. Like he started with legit dudes, and then he moved up here to Washington. His wife's family is from here, and then opened up a gym right down the road. My parents brought me in when I was 8, and never left. I mean, I was lucky enough to be at the point where I'm close. I'm like walking distance to the gym, and I was able to do that for most of my childhood, and just stuck it out. And then he was in the UFC when I was younger. He had a couple fights, and then I mean, he took me from literally day one, 8-year-old kid doing jiu-jitsu all the way to UFC, and then now I'm getting to fight a Hall of Famer. So I mean, looks like we're doing pretty all right out here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you have a big fight coming up with a previous grappling opponent. Do you see yourself having an advantage because you've faced each other before?
I mean, I think it's kind of I don't know so much of an advantage, but it's mutually a little more like we've kind of shown each other our hand a little bit. I don't know. It's so different, MMA versus just grappling. Like he's kind of a little more forced, obviously, to engage in the grappling side of things when it's just a grappling match. But I don't know. It's really, I think, honestly, trying to just keep myself grounded and not look past Clay. He's a Hall of Famer. I mean, I was able to sub him in a jiu-jitsu match, but I would expect that my jiu-jitsu would be better. Like he's a wrestler, he's been a wrestler since day one. And, striking, it probably goes for him like wrestling, striking, jiu-jitsu is probably third tier. Where me, it's probably more jiu-jitsu, then wrestling, then striking, so it's kind of a fun like clash of styles. And I just he's got such a weird movement in the fighting, with the striking. And, he's a good wrestler, obviously. I think he's very game. He's such a veteran that I have to really just respect it. And I kind of just have to not think about, the fact that have like a win over him. I just kind of have to come in here fresh and, give him all the respect that he deserves. Like, there's a reason why he's had 36 UFC fights. He's good. He's one of the best in the world. I mean, that's why he's in the sport that he is. And, got into UFC at, I think, 2007. So he's been in here for however long. And,
Since you were 8.
it's a huge opportunity.
That's
for me to,
crazy.
yeah. And it's, I think the pro debut was 2003. So I was, 3 or 4. Like that's crazy. It's cool to get the opportunity to face a guy like this for sure.
Is it weird facing someone that much older than you? Like, are there, aside from him being a legend, like you said, are there any concerns like old man strength? I mean, them not making it to the fight because they break their hip. Like, I don't know. We're both
enough.
like Clay Guida's age, so we can talk shit about his age. But is there anything like that concerns you going into a fight against someone that much older?
No, I mean, I've honestly been lucky enough. I've never had an opponent pull out, thankfully, knock on wood and all that. But at no point in my career have I had anybody not make it to the fight. So that's not really been a concern. I mean, I try not to really think about the age too much. Like, again, coming in, being like the young guy for a while, I really tried to get rid of that, at least for myself. Like, I tried to not think about that. Like, because I felt that was an excuse where, I don't want to go into this fight being like, oh, he's older, he's got miles, I don't want to think it's going to be a benefit for me if it, maybe he's not. So I'm trying to, honestly, I try to go into things more expecting the worst. And then, when something good happens, then I can be pleasantly surprised. I'm expecting him to be on point. I'm expecting it to go all 3 rounds, crazy cardio, crazy pace, just wrestling the whole time. And I'm expecting a lot of adversity. And then, if it ends up being like the last fight where, things end up going my way quickly, then that's a good night, But trying to expect the worst and then hope for the best.
Going back to you, starting at such a young age and staying in Washington your whole career, have you trained around? Do you have a desire to kind of expand, or are you happy staying where it all started?
No, I mean, I've traveled around a little bit. I think it was probably, like 2-3 years ago at this point. I went out and stayed for 3 weeks in South Carolina, training at Wonder Boy's gym, and I'll go out there occasionally. I'll cross train with Kiesa and those guys. They're about a 4.5 hour drive. They're just across the state from us. And then we'll go up to Seattle and cross train at another gym up there. Like, I feel like I get plenty where I'm at. And it's one of those things where I feel more important to have guys that you can trust and like a good, loyal team rather than just getting the hardest training you can. Like, I know a lot of guys that are at, some of those bigger gyms, and I see them getting hurt all the time because they're just like, okay, let me train with the toughest guys I can, which is great, but that's a lot of miles for no money. Like, you're getting miles put on your body for free, for, helping those guys or whatever. And there's a lot of guys I feel like at bigger gyms that think about it like, oh, if I beat you in sparring, like, I'm going to get a UFC contract. And that's how a lot of them approach it. From my experience, a lot of Eastern European guys are hard to train with. So I like sticking with the
There's a
people
chuckle
that
about.
Yeah, I like sticking with the people that I can trust, and like these guys that have been with me, and it's just a mutual respect of like, when I have a fight, they help me out, and they'll come into the gym early and give me the extra work. And then when they have a fight, I'll do the same for them. Like, that's what I feel like a lot of times people really discount the loyalty aspect of it. It is an individual sport. We are fighting, individually. It is just us, but it's also the people that help you get there. And I feel like the biggest part of going into fights that I've realized is the confidence factor. if you go into a fight like, oh, just remembering all the sparring times that you got the shit kicked out of you, I feel like you're going to go in a little more hesitant. Where, you know, if we're doing more technical rounds and I'm like, okay, this guy was trying to give me the specific look and this was working, that was working, this was working. I feel like going into like the last couple weeks before a fight, you should really be having guys that are willing to, you know, just give you the looks and not have so much ego, like having good teammates that are willing to let you win. And then, you know, when their fights come around, then you let them win. And, you know, obviously we're still training hard. These guys aren't just, you know, blowing smoke up my ass, just making me feel better than I am. It's just, yeah, I feel like the confidence is a huge factor. And I've seen guys that I watch them get beat up in sparring and then they have a shitty fight because of it. Like, even in UFC, I've seen guys do that. And then I watched them break mentally and that's hard to see, but, you know, not for my team. So I just have to kind of sit and kind of, you know, hold my tongue on that one. But yeah.
Is there anything that you drew inspiration from watching from a young age? Who did you look up to?
Yeah, I mean, I was probably around 10 or 11 when my coach was in UFC. So I was, you know, a little kid, getting to watch him. And, you know, one of his fights was in China and he got the shit kicked out of him. But, you know, it's just the mental toughness factor that I feel like I really took that from him. Like, I feel like he showed me what, you know, what it takes to, you know, like the grittiness that you need to have to be a fighter. And you know, I felt that he like taught me how to like be a man, honestly. Like that was probably one of the better male influences in my life was my coach. And then, you know, obviously there's other fighters like, you know, the Diaz brothers. I love their jiu-jitsu style. Damian Maia. I always like Cerrone. He's just a gamer. But again, like a lot of these just grittier guys, like I was never the best guy in the gym. I mean, I was just the one that showed up more. And then, that's, you know, that's the thing. That's the crazy thing is like, I try to tell people like at the gym, I'm like, hey, I was never the best guy here. I just kept showing up more than everybody else. And that's all you got to do. But, yeah, I mean, it's easier said than done. Like I had to really sacrifice a lot of time with friends, family, that type of thing. But, I mean, obviously it's worth it. Look at the life I get to live now. I mean, it's worked out so far.
Were you ever at a big gym or did you always stay with your local gym and just kind of have little adventures, training adventures every now and then?
No, I've just been with my coach since day one. And then honestly, it's I don't think I was even I was already on Contender Series. It was after Contender. It was my first time really sparring at other gyms. Like before that point, it was like, okay, we might fight this guy, we might fight that guy. You don't really know locally, so it's hard to cross train with those guys when you know, we might end up fighting at some point. But yeah, I feel like I didn't really need a ton of that. And then now, honestly, the cross training just kind of confirms to me that like, okay, we're doing what we should be. Like I go to these other gyms and then I'm hanging with their top guys, if not, you know, beating their top guys. And it's like, okay, perfect. We're doing the right stuff. And you know, back to the team and all that.
Nice, nice. I really love that mentality. And I feel like the big gym just thing that has been in MMA for a long time is kind of dying out. I think with COVID and with the shutdowns and stuff, a lot of people ended up having to train with smaller groups and then ended up feeling really comfortable. So it's kind of cool that you found that early, especially I think a lot of people were concerned because he came in so young. You had a couple losses that looks like, oh, this guy is older than him, so it's unfair that they're fighting each other. But I like how you said you never used that as an excuse. You never thought, oh, I'm the young guy, I'm not able to hang with these guys. Instead, you just buckled down and now you're on a crazy streak. So I think that's really cool to see your trajectory. And has that like young guy stigma ever annoyed you at all, or do you kind of like playing into that character?
No, I mean, I feel like I guess I'm probably more serious than I try to let on. But yeah, no, I think I'm fine with like, you know, I look at the hair, you know, I look kind of, you know, dumb and dorky anyways. Like I'm fine with, you know, yeah, you
It's
know,
adorable. I want to pinch your
Stop
cheeks.
it.
that's the one, you know, like it's yeah, I don't know. Like I never thought of it as a bad thing really. More just again, like not letting myself have that excuse. And it's taking examples from guys like a Charles Oliveira who just had an amazing performance this weekend, or a Max Holloway. Like Max Holloway went 3-3 in his first 6 UFC fights, and Charles Oliveira went 5-5. Like I just really felt that there was that huge like adjustment period of, you know, going from being a local regional fighter and fighting at like a casino, whatever, you drive there from your house, to now, okay, you're going to fly in here. This whole week is all fight related, and you're going to fight on the biggest stage in the world. You know, my UFC debut was in T-Mobile Arena, which is where the next fight will be, which is awesome. But it's crazy to go from a casino to, you know, one of the biggest arenas. You know, like it's a huge step up, and I don't think there's really any way to prepare for that pressure. So it was really just, you know, grinding it out, and you know, yeah, believe in myself, and again, not letting the age kind of you know, be a way out for me, and just buckling down and being like, hey, I'm just one of these guys. Like I'm not the young guy. If anybody else wants to think that, that's fine. Like I feel the worst thing in this sport is for nobody to know or care who you are, or, you know, what you've got going on. Like if there's anything that sets you apart, like you just kind of have to lean into that, and like people are gonna, you know, take what's genuine, and like that's the thing, is like don't make up a persona. Like be genuine, but like maybe accentuate the points that people seem to latch onto, and that's you know, again, it seems like people like me so far, so I'm trying to keep it going that way.
I love that you said that about authenticity. I talk about that a lot. Like I wish fighters would understand that more. It's not just about entertainment and selling yourself. It's like really tapping into authenticity and who you are and promoting yourself that way. It's a lot more likable, and it's easier for people to connect with you in that way.
Definitely.
I do have a serious question. So was the elf costume yours? And if not, did you get to keep it? Do you like wear it around town, the house?
So yeah, so Fight Pass hit me up. They're like, hey, would you be down to wear an elf costume in New York? And I was like, I don't see why not. So they ordered it off of Amazon. They told me it was $50. It was pretty nice when I got there, honestly. It was pretty authentic. But the sports bar that we were filming in, so we did it the first day, and then we came back the next day to do some more stuff. And I don't know where it went between that day. So I think somebody's probably somebody that was drunk probably just took the elf costume.
Oh yeah.
I was
That's
gonna
it's
take it
New
home.
York. You can't leave anything laying around
Yeah,
in New York.
that's all right. But we'll see. Maybe I'll buy a new one.
Yeah.
I thought for sure you'd wear it like around the house, just, you know, having your morning coffee in the elf
My
costume.
wife, she was like, "Do not bring that home."
No.
I was going to, and then it just disappeared, so I didn't have the opportunity. But
It was her. She's the one that stole it. She got a hitman for the costume.
I can see that. Yeah, definitely.
Did you go to the fights in New York or no?
No, we were at that same sports bar. We were doing like a little watch along thing.
Oh, okay.
Just with Fight Pass. You know, it would have been cool to go to MSG, but you know, I'd rather get paid than anything. Yeah, I like working.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work on you know, getting paid for things that don't involve me getting brain trauma. So, you know, trying to make myself more valuable to the company in any way I can, and you know, work on those opportunities when they pop up.
One thing I wanted to ask you about is your meet and greet with Mikey Musumeci. You guys
Yeah.
had like a nice little grappling session and got to share ideas. What was that like? And did he talk to you at all about getting signed with the UFC, what that means? Because we haven't really heard that much about what Dana's planning on doing with grappling promotion.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't say not to say any of it, but
Spell
honestly,
it.
I've got to say he's by far the best person, like jiu-jitsu wise, I've ever trained with, and it's fun, and like it's been so long since I've been, you know, struggling with anybody, like at least locally. Like it's taken, you know, getting to train with some of the best in the world, and then, you know, having him just throw me around like that, even being a little smaller. He's really crazy strong proportionally. Like his body and his brain are just, you know, maximized for jiu-jitsu and for grappling, and learning some cool concepts. I'll give him a shout out if I'm able to hit the the sequence he showed me in the fight. I'll definitely give him a
Ooh.
shout out after. He mentioned though that they're definitely trying to build out the grappling a little more. Something like maybe getting some divisions going, maybe getting some belts, that type of thing, and making it a little more than just, because I think they're doing 6 Fight Pass Invitationals next year. So plenty of opportunity to start building stuff up. I mean, this is how UFC started anyways. It was like really slow, these kind of single matches, something like that. And then now we're starting to build divisions around it. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how that type of stuff goes. But I mean, they've already signed. I think Mikey's the best grappler under 185 pounds in the world. I mean, over you've got, Gordon Ryan, Craig Jones, those type of guys. But as far as, proportionally, I think his mental game is like insane, and the best guy, I've ever trained with, obviously. But I'm really excited. He's gonna be grappling on December 5th. If I'm not too dead from the weight cut, I will be dragging myself to the apex to watch for sure.
I got to watch a friend grapple right before one of my last fights, and it was definitely like worth the trip. It kind of gives you that chance to visualize, and you see someone that you knew that you touch, like go out there and compete and do the thing that you're about to do in a few days. So it was kind of nice.
Yeah,
So
fair enough.
if you have energy, I suggest you do it.
Yeah, I think I'll probably start my cut Thursday morning. We'll see what time the grappling matches start. I went to like Quintet, was like a grappling show. It ended up being at our same hotel for my UFC debut, and I was dead for that. I had such a hard time paying attention, but we'll see. I can stay for
Yeah,
one match, I'm sure.
exactly. Swoop in for the one and then get back to the hotel. How hard
Yeah,
is that weight cut now that you're at 55?
yeah. I mean, it's funny because people are like, all the time whenever I meet people, or people are like, oh, like, hey, what's up, Chase? Like, they're like, you're a lot bigger than I thought you'd be. On the internet, people are like, oh, he's 155 pounds. Like, he doesn't look like that. He looks like he needs to put on weight. Like, people were saying, like, oh, he's going to be too small to go up. But that's just the fans. They see you skinny, like in the fight pictures, whatever. But no, I feel like I definitely gained a little weight, going through the puberty and all that. Yeah, I mean, my contender fight was my first fight at 45, and I was 18. I was probably walking at 165, and then now throw at least another 20 lbs on top of that, and then it was hard to make 45 from there. So 55 made a ton of sense, and I still cut about the same amount in water, but obviously I put on a little more muscle, and yeah, I cut about the same in water, but it really wasn't too bad. I feel like the Performance Institute really helps. As long as I go into fight week no higher than 175, I feel pretty cozy. I feel like it's a pretty easy weight cut, like just the water load protocol they've given me, and like I'm sure you guys have had, the food and stuff from Performance Institute. I don't really know what type of magic they pull with that, but I'm
It's not
eating
bad.
more.
It's just not a lot.
No,
They
I mean,
don't
it's
put
not
any
bad.
salt in it. I think that's what it is. I think that's the key. Because you go to any
Yeah,
restaurant and you ask for a chicken breast, there's gonna be
yeah,
salt in it. It's
Yeah.
it's a good
impossible not to get
restaurant.
salt
Yeah.
on things. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's so helpful to just not even have to think about like, okay, how am I going to make weight and then also still eat, or am I just going to starve myself all week? So it's so helpful to have them. And then they do little stuff like they'll give you little like kind of sweet tasting type things, like the little pre-workout bars or whatever.
Yeah. The
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
pudding.
we have
something to look
the
forward to.
chocolate and peanut butter mousse. It was really good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
pudding. The pudding's good.
It's
yeah.
so good.
That's the stuff I'm looking forward to here in 2 weeks. I'm
The
trying to
sweetened
keep
little
off the
pudding.
sugar right now.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna taste real good then if you're not eating anything sweet right now.
Yeah, then I'm gonna go hard after weigh-ins, and we'll be back up to
Do
ready to
you
get
have
back.
any do you have any dream submissions that you've been wanting to hit in a fight? Like, what would be the most amazing finish for you?
I think a fun one would be a banana split. I think
Ah,
all the wrestlers. I feel like I get so much props from wrestlers when I start attacking banana splits, and yeah, I mean it's something it's interesting how quickly people will tap when they start feeling the tearing sensation like in their groin. But I think, that'd be a fun one. Like, why not? It's funny. It's a good time. And yeah, everybody loves a banana split.
It sucks. It's so demeaning though. Like they'll let my theory is if you get someone in a good banana split, they'll let their groin tear before facing the consequences of tapping to a banana split.
That's fair. I guess we'll see how tight Clay's hips are. I think.
Ooh, I like it.
I got pretty close. I got pretty close when we grappled, but
nice. Interesting. That should be a good prop bet. We should tell Dual Bits about that. Prop
we
bet.
remember that. Yes.
Yeah, banana split finish.
I don't know.
Watch out for the FBI, but
yeah, hey, fair enough.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and taking the time. I know you're close to your fight and you have a lot to focus on, but we really do appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it. Glad I was able to find somewhere with some internet, and yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for explaining Mr. Hands to Jess too. I'm sure she's gonna have lovely nightmares about that now.
Yeah, you can Google if you want, or I would probably suggest not.
No, no, I have to now. It's gonna be the first thing I do.
Oh no.
Good luck.
Thanks, man. Take care. Yeah. Good luck. Have fun out there.
All right, we'll do.
Oh,
that was funny. I can't believe you never heard of that before.
How would I have heard of it?
It's famous. It's famous online. It's one of those dark online secret things that only dark online people know about.
stays pretty consistent with like cute animal videos, not like animals slaughtering humans.
I think the Mr. Hands video existed before algorithms were a thing.
Yeah. So they really had to look for it.
That's when the internet was really dark. Now we can steer clear of that kind of stuff.
Now we sweep it.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. This has been another episode of Two Straws. Catch us next time as we break down and recap this weekend's UFC. We have, we have Figueredo and Jan. Sorry, I left you hanging.
Oh, no, because we're still talking. I thought you were closing out. Yeah, we have Figueredo and Jan, and then we have Jan and Ricci. So yes, it's a double Jan party.
Yes, and we've already put our Dual Bits predictions down. We're going Figueredo, Jan, and
you know the other ones. I just went with you because I was like, I don't know who the. Wait. Hold that thought. Do a little dance.
We're doing it
in Salikov.
Yes.
Salikov by Gail.
All right, guys, make sure to place your bets at dualbits.com and use that Two Straws little code so you can get some extra free money to play with. We'll see you next time.